Former President Trump vowing to put Putin's invasion in Ukraine to bed, essentially. If he wins in November, he met with Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, today at Trump Tower. That was their first meeting since 2019, saying this to Fox after the meeting.
I learned a lot, but I think I haven't changed from the standpoint that we both want to see this end, and we both want to see a fair deal made, and it's got to be fair, and I think that'll happen at the right time. I think it's going to happen. The president wants it to end, and he wants it to end as quickly as possible. It should stop, and the president wants it to stop, and I'm sure President Putin wants it to stop, and that's a good combination.
And after Zelensky and VP Harris spoke to the press, Harris quickly bolted out of the room, ignoring reporters.
Thanks to you, Madam Vice President. Slava Ukraine.
Thank you.
President Zelensky, can you comment on Eric Adams, Vice President?
Thank you very much. Joe Conchas, a Fox News contributor, joins us now. Joe, based upon the optics, that does not look very presidential to me.
I got two bets right now, all right? Carly's son, Brock, a year and a half, will be the starting quarterback at Princeton. No question. I know he's only 1.5.
Oh, not
but
tight
he's got
end.
a name. He's got a name like Brock. You become a quarterback.
Like a tight end.
He'll date a girl named Scarlett, and things will go very well.
Okay.
My second bet: Kamala Harris will never ever hold a press conference or take questions from somebody she doesn't know is a staunch supporter of hers. You'll see the Giants in the playoffs, Todd, before you see Kamala Harris give a press conference, because we saw in that interview on MSNBC, that foot massage of an interview. She's asked, how are you going to bring down costs? Well, I grew up in a middle-class family. Okay, I think we know that part by now. But, oh, by the way, I understand the ambitions and aspirations and dreams of the American people. What will you do to bring down costs? Well, I'm going to give you $25,000 if you want to buy a new home. Okay, what if I have a home? What if I, don't plan on buying a home? In other words, she doesn't have a plan. So when she's asked questions outside of her controlled environments, it never goes well. The more she speaks, the more her poll numbers come down. She wants to run out the clock with 39 days to go before Election Day.
New York Post op-ed out yesterday. Check out this imagery. It was thin-skinned Harris proves she can't go toe-to-toe with world leaders if she won't even sit for a challenging interview. And what about that? I mean, imagine her sitting down with Xi Jinping or in the Situation Room making these really difficult decisions when she has very little foreign policy experience and won't even take tough questions from reporters here in her own country.
That's the big question, right? Can she sit down with a world leader like Xi Jinping, like Putin, like anybody who basically isn't giving her the questions, or at least her handlers aren't controlling the environment? Once again, the New York Times is also very critical of her as well, and that will get the White House's attention because they haven't endorsed a presidential candidate on the Republican side since 1956. Questions like, what did you know about Joe Biden's mental decline, and when did you know it? You want to tax unrealized capital gains. Most people think that that will actually tank the stock market. You can't do that. Why do you think you can do something like that? You were chanting down, down with deportations. It's on tape in 2018 as a senator. Do you want to end all deportations? Hey, what does fracking mean? Right. Oh, hey, what does holistic mean? You could ask questions of her, and if she isn't scripted for the answer, again, it's cleanup on all five.
Well, there is some hope that the blue wall of the media has broken. You mentioned the New York Times piece, ripping the VP over her recent MSNBC interview, her entire media strategy, writing, since Ms. Harris began granting more interviews in recent days, her media strategy has been to sit with friendly inquisitors who are not inclined to ask terribly thorny questions or press her when her responses are evasive. This is notable because this is the liberal New York Times. So, Joe, is the jig up? Is this the beginning of the left-wing media finally calling her out en masse, enough to sway the voters that are getting their news from them and aren't just getting it from us here at Fox?
That's exactly right. So when they read this in the New York Times, for example, or they hear on CNN, where we're finally seeing some fact checks of what Kamala Harris is saying, and even on MSNBC, Stephanie Ruhle said she didn't answer the questions, that begins to penetrate. And she's going to have to answer questions at some point, because there's a thing called the fear of the unknown. With Donald Trump, we know what we have. We saw his presidency. We know exactly what he's going to do on the economy, for example, on crime, on foreign policy. With Kamala Harris, we don't know. When you don't know, you can't vote for what you don't know.
Yeah,
So she has to define herself.
And my favorite
Carly.
response during the Stephanie Ruhle interview was when she was asked how she's going to raise the corporate tax rate without companies going to other countries. She's like, oh, I talk to CEOs. They think that they should be paying more taxes.
That's not
Maybe
an answer.
those CEOs. I don't think that's true.
Bye.
Joe, thank you so much for joining us. Fox and Friends starts right now.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Put to bed. Put to bed. Essentially. Essentially. Optics. Optics. Staunch supporter. Staunch supporter. Toe to toe. Toe to toe. Thorny. Thorny. Evades. Evades. Jig. Jig. En masse. En masse. Penetrate. Penetrate.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.